Hi, this is Coach Bart Jernigan with Clinton City Recreation and Monday Night Football Training. Tonight I want to talk to you about basic run blocking schemes. Well, all of us have a good idea probably what the backfield does on most of these plays. The tendency is to forget what the guys up front are doing, but often in disregarding that, we mitigate the successfulness of our run game and our team and our offensive plan. Without those guys up front executing their job, it's highly unlikely that the guys behind are going to be able to get their job done as well. One thing that I'd like to say, before we even get into this is that all of us need to be line coaches. I often ask the questions when I show up to a practice, who's a line coach around here? Who coaches the line? And often there's one guy on staff who specializes in that. But the reality of what we should probably be seeing is we should have, an active staff full of line coaches. After all, there are at least 5 linemen on every given play, if not more. And with that number of players on a field at one time, it's just unfair to expect one coach to make all the changes, all the adjustments, and everything that's needed in order to have a successful scheme up front. So that having been said, we're going to talk about these basic run blocking schemes and hopefully kind of help us all grasp these concepts better so that we can teach them to our teams and we can be more successful. These concepts should give us a basic outline for any play that we really need to run at the Little League level. There may be some others that we haven't included here, but honestly I can't really think of those. One of the beautiful things about this is we've taken these plays based upon what our local high school programs are running, and this will really help our kids be prepared to play there when we get to that next level if we can teach them the technique and the concepts that they're doing. So let's go ahead and start with the first, which is basic base blocking. And base blocking, as you can see here, the rules are to, which means towards the play, on, which means straight on in front, away, and then backer. So this is a simple progression that your lineman can follow with this. Is there somebody in the gap towards the play? Then I'm going to block him. If there isn't, then I'm going to work to somebody head on. If he's there, I'm going to block him. If there isn't somebody head on or two, then I'm going to work to away, somebody in that gap away from the play, and I can do that. If nobody shows up in any of those 3 spaces, then I'm going to work linebacker, and once again, I'm going to work from the play, away from the play. One thing that you'll see in an asterisk here, and this is kind of a big highlight I would hit, is make sure that when we are blocking that we're attacking the play side shoulder of the defender. The plays that you'll see this often used for this dive are this base blocking is your dive or your QB sneak. Pretty basic blocking schemes. And these are kind of bread and butter plays. These are plays that you need to be able to get 2-3 yards out of every pop. So let's go on and take a look at a specific example of base blocking. This is base blocking, and an important distinction that we need to make here is play side is not just necessarily the direction from the center that the play is going. Play side is exactly where the ball is going. So for example, this is a dive to what we mostly call the 2-hole right here, and this is the play side here. And what that means and why that's important to our linemen is it's going to, 1, affect their footwork, and 2, affect their attacking points. Remember, we want them always attacking the play side shoulder. So we also want them stepping first with their play side foot on base blocking. Okay. So if we look at this, the center has stepped to his right, and there's somebody on, so he'll block them. He steps in here at the guard and goes off to the linebacker because there's nobody on or away. 2, finds somebody, blocks him. Steps 2, nobody on. We're never going to block a backside defensive end because this is really going to set up some wonderful counters later on, so we're going to go away to backer. And that's one exception to the rule that you'll have to teach is, you can't base block that guy. At the lowest levels, really, though, if that guy's blocking somebody, you're going to be tickled pink that that's happening. So now let's go to the other side of the play, and we'll go to that right guard. Right guard steps and looks. 2, nobody on, nobody away, works to backer. 2, somebody 2, block them. Works 2, on and away, and I'm going to go ahead and block them. And that's just your base dive. It's a play that I think we all have in our arsenal and hopefully run well. But base blocking is a good way. Now, base does bring up some issues. We do have the times where we're just severely outmatched in a position or two, and you're obviously going to have to tinker with these quick. I'd like to make this known about base plays though, or these plays where we're running this base blocking. We need to be downhill quick. These are not slow developing plays. The fullback needs to get the ball within seconds and hit the hole. What's good about dive is the element of surprise. We really don't give that defense much of a chance to really thrive on that. Let's go ahead now and move on to our next type of blocking, which is base plus lead. As you can see here in base plus lead, all of our linemen are basically going to block base. That's the plan. We're just going to block that basic progression that we talked about, 2 on, away, and linebackers. So pretty simple there. If we go ahead and then add a lead, basically all we're doing is we're adding a backfield blocker, typically a fullback, leading through the hole to block the linebacker that is over the hole that is called. Once again, we really want to focus on attacking the play side shoulder of defender as a lineman. This is your common lead play that you'll see ran. Other people call it ISO, but same play, basically just different verbiage. So something to be aware of that may change the verbiage, but really it's the same dog. All right, let's go ahead and look at this. This is an example of an outside lead. Okay, here we're going to lead on this outside Sam backer. Okay, we're sending a backfield backer, presumably the fullback, out to block him. Okay, everybody else is just going to work their progression on or 2 on away, 2 on away, 2 on away, linebacker, 2 on away, linebacker, 2 on. We're not going to go away because we're not blocking the backside defensive end. Look, we're setting up stuff for later. So we're going to go away to a linebacker or a touchdown block to a DB or safety. So pretty slick little plan there. All right, let's go ahead now and talk about edge and scoop blocking. Edge and scoop blocking is kind of what puts off, or not what puts off, but what will cap off our basic running at the lowest levels of the league. You know, our junior mites, our mighty mites should be proficient, hopefully, by the time that they get done with their mighty mite and junior mite year in base plus lead, and edge and scoop blocking. Edge and scoop blocking is your basic blocking for your tosses, your sweeps, and your reverses. Pretty simple, pretty basic stuff that we can carry out. And the rules are super easy. All we're supposed to do is to protect our play side gap from front to back. Okay? So if anybody is in our play side gap, we're going to work and we're going to hit them. Okay? We're going to do that by taking a big, nice play side step, and we can go over footwork on that later, but just take a big play side step, and we're going to work to the play side shoulder of that defender. Especially key in this is that guy at the point of attack. So you say we want to go around the right end. We need to make sure that that guy blocking the right end can get to the outside shoulder of that defensive end. All right, so let's look here, and once again, okay, just protect play side gap, hook here, protect play side gap, going to hook all the way there, protect play side gap here, protect play side gap here, play side gap here, play side gap here, play side gap here. Beautiful thing is if we tell this to our players, even our backfield, say maybe we have a lead blocker on our toss, okay, we can protect play side gap. Some variations that you might see of this is, you know, crack blocking, where they'll bring somebody in motion and make sure that they pin this guy down, and then this guy can release here, this guy can release here, and so on. And you could definitely do that as you work your way through this, but that basic idea of protect play side gap is so important to your edge or scoop plays, and you're going to want to make sure that your kids can do this. There's some fun drills that you can do to teach your kids edge blocking, working with the scoop and working to the outside shoulder. So if you want those, please contact me and I'll get those to you. Let's go on next to down and kick blocking. This is a basic to intermediate thing. This probably should be something that maybe towards the end of your your mighty mite year you maybe are putting in. You're maybe talking about it and looking at how you can do it. It's a basic to intermediate skill. The reason it's intermediate is a lot of times your kicking is done by a pulling lineman. You can also do it with a fullback, however. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's something that you probably are not going to be able to do it junior might, you can definitely run your fullback out there and have them lead block on a lineman, or a wing back lead block on a lineman if you like. So the down basically signifies that we're going to block down and away from the play, and the kick basically signifies we're sending somebody, whether it be a pulling man or a backfield blocker, to go ahead and attack the D lineman. Important point of reference here is make sure that the guy gets the head in the hole that's lead blocking for this. Also make sure that your back is there in a timely manner. A lot of plays that we have problems with this, we get linebackers dancing around, and that's because there's a 3-4 yard gap between our running back and our blocker. We need to minimize that if possible. So let's flip to the next page. You can use this, like I said, with a trap or your base power, and I'll show both of you. So if we look here, this is your base trap. We're going to pull the backside guard. He's going to kick the first play side defensive lineman outside of the guard. So he just pulls, kicks. Everybody else is just down and away. Just down and away. Big question that I often get is, what about this guy? Well, if we know anything about this guy and the way he plays football, especially at the Little League level, this guy's going to be 10,000 miles upfield, somewhere in this range. And the play will hopefully come right up underneath him and work its way to the touchdown. So this is a really great play. It's a really great scheme. Like I said, I'd recommend, at the end of your Mighty Might year, start of your junior Pee Wee year, this should be something that we should be looking at and should be progressing your lineman towards this play. There's nothing better than this block right here. And if you can celebrate that guard pulling, man, it all of a sudden becomes pretty darn cool to be a guard. The next variation I'd like to show you is the power variation. Okay, the power variation we're calling on a backfield blocker to block out the play side defensive end. Everybody else is just simply down blocking. Okay? And we get downs across the line. Now, this is going to take some communication here. Your nose tackle and your mic backer are stacked here, so your guard and your center are going to have to kind of communicate. The one thing I would tell them is, obviously it doesn't make sense for this guy to block down to empty space, so we'll stick him there and we'll stick him there. That just makes the angles a little bit better. So like I said, this is something that might take a little bit of working with, especially where you get 5-man fronts. I will tell you this, however, when you get an 8-man front at that Little League level where everybody's just up on the line, there is nothing more deadly than down and kick. You have everybody blocked down, one guy kicks out, and this running back comes up underneath. And especially if everybody's up on the line, you've only got to beat that first line of defense, and then you're off to the races. So that's pretty dangerous. Next, let's talk about down, kick, and lead. Down, kick, and lead will be the last type we'll talk about. Now, obviously, there is option blocking, and we can discuss that a little bit later. But down, kick, and lead is a pretty advanced concept. I would say, end of Pee Wee year, start of junior midget, you should definitely be exploring some ideas with down, kick, and lead. What makes down, kick, and lead so hard is just you've got a lot of pulling backfield motion with your linemen, as well as different running backs. So it takes some definite timing and some refinement. But I think if you put it in, you can definitely do it. Plays where you'll see this is your traditional counter with a G and T. Some schemes call that a counter tray. You can also see that in a play that I like to call power G, which is basically just your power. But now we're going to pull the guard around from the backside to lead up on the backer. So essentially all we're doing is just combining our down and kick with the lead principle from earlier, and we're just going to bring that lead guy up through the hole to hit the next defender to show up. Linemen generally will block out down and away from the play in order to target or work down and away from the play in order to leave that target kick man open to be kicked. The lead man will follow up through behind the kick, get up in the hole. Important points of emphasis for the lead man. Lead man needs to try to keep his eyes to the inside because generally that's where most heat's going to come from on this. All right, so this is an example of down, kick, and lead, and this is an example of our power G. Okay, so power G here, we're going to go ahead and have fullback kicks out on DN. Everybody else has got down blocks, with the exception of our guard here, and that's signified by that G. He's going to come up through, He's going to hook here. What this allows us to do really gives us a better chance at getting this guy. The Mike linebacker can create a lot of problems for us, especially because he's got a head start here on our only uncovered guy. So we really don't have a good option to block him. In addition, if there's like any backfield motion that comes this way, we can freeze that guy, and that really helps set it up a little bit better. So this little block can kind of take control of that. But everybody else is just down blocking, and you can see here just down, 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 and down. And then we've got power and G. Pretty easy, pretty simple, and there's 100 different ways you could do this with backfield motion. The one important thing is just quick backfield motion. We don't want to have a lot of lag time. We want to be straight lines, working to where we're going and quickly. The next variation of down, kick, and lead is a counter, and what I've drawn up here is a counter where you've basically switched the tackle out, the normal G&T responsibility. We've switched his responsibility out, and now we're going to go ahead and have our fullback just follow our guard up through the hole and block the next man. This can be done fairly effectively and fairly easily. I would recommend going G&T against 4-man fronts, however against 5-man fronts. Anytime that we've got these tackles right here between guard and tackle, it really creates a problem because as these two go to pull, he gets tied up into him, he becomes relatively cleanly unblocked. He usually always makes that play. So we can't just ignore him. If there's somebody between us, that's not going to work. Ideally, we'd have somebody here in this A gap and outside here, and then we can do that because the fullback can pick up, and then the tackle can go ahead and pull up through the hole and clean out whatever comes next. So that's kind of the way we can adjust and adapt and overcome, though, if they give us a 5 front, is we'll run the fullback and have him do the following and do the leading. So that is all of the basic blocking schemes that we're going to cover. I think that's all that you should really need. Like I said, I think this gives you kind of a complete progression all the way up from what you should be teaching the first day of junior might to what you should be perfecting your last day as a Bantam. If you can get your kids learning these things, they're going to be so much more ready for that high school level, and they're going to be competitive and tough, and you're going to have a pretty fun team to watch. So my big thing, though, just keep celebrating those big guys up front. Keep working with them. Okay, keep developing them. Don't be afraid to stick your second string fullback in there at guard. Don't be afraid to develop those kids who, they're okay athletes, but, put them out there and give them a chance to play where they can affect the play. I always thought of it this way. You can only give one guy the ball on any play, so where can I put my second best athlete or second most effective player so he has the biggest impact on the play? I'm not saying that's going to always be on the line. That might be as a quarterback booting away. That might be as another back countering the other way. But you would hate to have your third or fourth best player on the bench because he's a running back when he could be in there, doing some damage on the line and helping your team succeed. That and just making sure that everybody's a line coach out there. I don't think there's any excuse for, we like to pin things on line coaches, but the reality is, man, we're all responsible. There's too many linemen on the field at any one time to just pin it on one guy. So that's kind of where we stand on that. I'd love to talk with you more about any of this stuff and drills specifically to develop these things. Thanks and appreciate it.